A federal judge recently sparked outrage by claiming that Nazis were treated better than foreign gang members being deported under Trump's administration. Judge Millett, a sitting federal appeals court judge, made the comparison while arguing that deportation procedures lacked due process. The statement, equating the removal of violent criminals to the Holocaust, immediately drew backlash. Many saw it as not just dishonest but deliberately inflammatory, meant to push a political narrative rather than uphold justice. Tom Homan, the former acting director of ICE, fired back, calling the comparison disgusting and noting that the deportation of known criminals and terrorists followed the law. Unlike past administrations, Trump's policies ensured that MS-13 members and other dangerous individuals were removed, protecting American citizens from their violence. The left-leaning media, rather than addressing the reality of these deportations, pushed emotional propaganda. Time magazine ran a piece detailing alleged mistreatment of detainees in El Salvador, describing how one man, claiming to be a barber, cried as he was processed. The intention was clear: to evoke sympathy for individuals whose criminal backgrounds were being ignored. MSNBC further escalated the narrative, pushing the idea that Trump's immigration policies were a human rights crisis. But the facts remained unchanged. Those being deported were not innocent victims. They were gang members who posed a direct threat to public safety. MSNBC's Michael Steele took the hysteria even further, suggesting that Trump would one day storm media studios and deport journalists. This absurd comparison was meant to stoke fear and manipulate public perception. The left's strategy was clear: turn routine law enforcement into a dystopian nightmare. Even some liberals recognized the absurdity of these claims. Justice Elena Kagan had previously warned about judicial overreach, emphasizing that a single district judge should not have the power to halt nationwide policies. Yet, that is exactly what activist judges have attempted to do, blocking Trump's policies at every turn. The economic argument against deportations was another desperate attempt to stop Trump's agenda. Some pundits claimed that undocumented migrants, many of whom work illegally, would stop filing tax returns, causing billions in lost revenue. This argument ignored the fact that illegal immigration itself was the problem. While some undocumented workers contribute to the economy, the influx of illegal immigrants under Biden's open border policies created chaos. The notion that enforcing immigration laws would destroy the economy was not only misleading but a weak attempt to justify lawlessness. Victor Davis Hanson, a respected scholar, pointed out the left's real strategy: to obstruct Trump's policies for as long as possible, then claim that stopping him was necessary to prevent a constitutional crisis. They cherry-pick judges willing to block his actions, then rely on media allies to frame him as overstepping his authority. This isn't about justice, it's about using the courts as a political weapon. Democrats have spent years using lawfare to target Trump while pretending to defend democracy. Their goal has never been fairness, it has been to stop Trump at any cost. The broader issue at hand is not just about deportations but about the federal government's failure to serve the American people. For too long, Washington has ignored common-sense priorities. Americans want their government to enforce immigration laws, stop endless foreign wars, take care of veterans, and prioritize citizens over illegal immigrants. Instead, politicians and bureaucrats have put their own interests first, using media narratives to distract from their failures. Trump's legal authority on immigration is clear. Under the Constitution, he has the power to enforce immigration laws, and courts have long recognized the president's authority in this area. Former Attorney General Ken Paxton affirmed that Trump's policies were within his constitutional rights. Unlike Biden, who overstepped his authority on issues like student loan forgiveness, Trump was acting within his executive powers. As cases make their way through the courts, the Supreme Court is likely to uphold his authority, ensuring that his policies can be fully implemented. The federal government's role is to execute the will of the people, but for too long, it has only served the interests of the elite. This battle is not about left versus right, it's about the establishment versus everyday Americans. People simply want their leaders to uphold the law and ensure national security. Open borders have led to violent gangs setting up operations with little resistance, prioritization of illegal immigrants over citizens, and widespread lawlessness. The American people are demanding a return to law and order, but activist judges and politicians are doing everything in their power to prevent it. Judge Millett's comparison of deportations to the Holocaust is just the latest example of how far the left will go to push their agenda. It is an insult to those who suffered real atrocities, and it exposes how desperate Democrats are to weaponize history for political gain. Meanwhile, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett openly admitted that she has no interest in passing legislation to help her constituents. Her focus is solely on stopping Trump. This reveals what has become obvious. Democrats are not governing for the people. They are governing to maintain their own power. The left's strategy is failing. More Americans are waking up to the reality that their country is being mismanaged. They see the crime, the border crisis, and the judicial overreach. The more the left tries to manipulate public perception, the clearer it becomes that they have lost touch with reality. The real fight is not just about Trump, it's about restoring a government that actually works for the American people.